So we got the opportunity to talk to UJ running back Kenny McIntosh the other day for the first time in 2022 to look ahead towards spring ball in the 2022 season. And the question I'm posing today is Kenny McIntosh going to be the feature guy, or are they going to do it by committee again? There's a reason I asked that. I know a lot of people think that it should be somebody else, or that it's going to be someone else. I think this is a really fair thing to talk about. Um, and and we know that Kenny McIntosh is a goofy guy. Well, this is one of my favorite games this year to go to, was the Tech game. There's pictures of Kenny McIntosh and DAWGSTRUCTION. If you want to check that out, click the link down below. But that was one of my favorite games, and it kind of just showed. I think that game is when I realized a little bit of Kenny McIntosh's importance to the locker room and to the culture of Georgia and the fun around it. Because, and I think it was even Kirby Smart that said at one time, if you can't have fun, then what are we doing all this for? Kenny McIntosh stealing the cameras after the game. I believe that started against Georgia Tech, but they all love it. And I know that the players look at Kenny McIntosh as a leader. He's going to be a senior this year. But is he going to be the feature guy? Ryan Clay from Dog Post talking about that with you today. But a lot of people, and raw talent. Kendall Milton is a better running back than Kenny McIntosh. Raw talent, can't really take him down. Tough runner downfield. Reminds a lot of people of Nick Chubb back in his Georgia days. They play a really similar style of ball, and people are screaming for it to be Kendall Milton. They're really excited about it. I'm excited for what Kendall Milton can be this year. But Kenny McIntosh stays on the field. Kendall Milton hasn't been able to do that. Kenny McIntosh is versatile. If you look at numbers, Kenny McIntosh only had 40 less receiving yards than James Cook on 5 less catches. That actually kind of surprised me, because we all viewed James Cook as this feature receiving back that gets all these looks, and he's that home run hitter. He had all those big plays, but he only had 40 more yards than Kenny McIntosh. And Kenny McIntosh was playing that tertiary role at running back behind Zamir White and James Cook. And he was kind of essentially James Cook's backup, and with Kendall Milton being Zamir White's backup with the different styles of running. So as far as impact goes, 2 less touchdowns. Production-wise, Kenny McIntosh is not that far off from James Cook on the receiving side of the ball. Kenny McIntosh had more yards per carry than Zamir White. He had, it looks like, less than half of the touches than James Cook did. So the production that he was able to show for us and put on the field with the limited touches shows me that Kenny McIntosh, and I've been watching Kenny McIntosh for the last 3 years. This was his 3rd season with Georgia. I've been watching him. I think he's really good. I think his one-cut go is insane. I think that Kenny McIntosh is kind of that fun leader. I think he's a lot more outspoken. He's a little quiet, but I think his personality shows a little bit more than James Cook and Zamir White's did. Listen, I've talked to some people, and there's people that believe that there's a possibility that the Kenny McIntosh Kendall Milton duo this year is going to be better than what we ever saw with James Cook and Zamir White, and that's going to be something that'll be difficult to pull off, because James Cook and Zamir White were steady the last 2 years, and they were a big part of Georgia's national championship run. But so was Kenny McIntosh. Kenny McIntosh is in a family that knows the NFL, that knows football. I think that he really could come out this year and really explode. I'm definitely foreseeing 1,000 all-purpose yards. I see there's 1,000 all-purpose yards and 10 touchdowns. I totally see that for him this year. Just because I think that he's earned it on the field a little more than Kendall Milton has. But yeah, raw talent-wise, if Kendall Milton's healthy, he is going to be an issue for opposing defenses. This is going to be his junior season. He is going to be a problem. We just didn't really see much of him in 21. We saw flashes of him in 20, but really not much. 50. I mean, he had, like, carries wise, he did have just 2 less carries than Kenny McIntosh, but McIntosh was just on the field so much more because Kendall Milton only 2 catches. You know, Kenny McIntosh, big play in the Orange Bowl. I mean, he's just someone that's been in the offense a lot more. Is he going to be the quote unquote feature? I don't think that there really is ever a When's the last time that there was a true feature back for Georgia? Just the true feature back. I mean, each year it's kind of a committee. I guess DeAndre Swift kind of stood out amongst the rest a little bit when he was an upperclassman. So, but Nick Chubb and Sony Michel really split stuff. I know Chubb was the feature, but you can't even really call Gurley a true feature just because of how he splits out with Nick Marshall. But he did emerge as that role, so he did become the feature. But it doesn't happen a lot at Georgia, and I think what we're going to see is the way that Swift kind of stepped above, the way that Nick Chubb kind of stepped above, the way that Gurley kind of stepped above. I think we're going to see Kenny McIntosh kind of step above because we didn't see that with James Cook and Zamir White. It was pretty 2 different purposes they were used for him, but Kenny McIntosh has all those purposes. So, and I think that I can see him being the quote-unquote guy for Georgia, even though it doesn't happen a lot. The running back room is always just so loaded. But I'm not even talking about Dejon Edwards and Branson Robinson. Those guys are going to be really good too. But I'm excited for what Kenny McIntosh can do this season. I think he could be a real problem for SEC defenses. Post DAWGSTRUCTION. See you guys.